Alright, hello everyone, it's me Nexus, and I'm back with day 4 of my Thanksgiving break Godzilla reviews. And today I'm doing Shin Godzilla. Why? Because it's the second Godzilla movie I ever saw in theaters, and it's the first Japanese Godzilla movie I've ever seen in theaters, and it's probably going to be the only Japanese Godzilla movie I see in theaters. But that's besides the point. Let's just get right into the plot because this movie, oh my god. I liked it in the theaters. I really did. But watching it again, it's not the same effect. It really isn't. Oh my god. So, movie starts off, a boat is like in the middle of like a Tokyo harbor, and it belongs to somebody. It's called the Glory Maru, and then like this like rescue team goes in and like they check, and all of a sudden like this huge steam cloud goes in, and it's presumed that the people who went in are dead, and for some reason the owner of the boat is just missing. And we don't find out who it is until later. Spoiler alert, it's someone who has literally no plot, nothing to do in the movie. Nothing to do with the movie other than to push the plot forward. Oh my god. And what's worse is that they named him Goro Maki. And if you don't remember my Godzilla 1984 review, that's the name of the main character in that movie. But once again, besides the point. Oh my god. And so, anyways, then like the Japanese government, they try to take control over the situation, and their process of elimination is pretty stupid, and they don't do much, and that's basically the main point of this movie. It's a symbolism for natural disasters and how the Japanese government is very unprepared to take on said disasters. And it sucks, but I mean, that's the truth of it all. Um, but other than that, I mean, so yeah, they're like, oh, you know what? It's probably like a volcano. No, it's not a volcano because past geological surveys do that. And the main character, Ryaguchi, he's like, yeah, there's a main character in this movie, I know. He has literally no character development either. I'll get into that later. He says, "Oh, I think it might be a marine creature." And they're like, "That's impossible. The water is boiling. No creature can do that." And so, then this really funny moment actually happens, where these biologists they come in, and by the way, when Yaguchi, okay, so after Yaguchi, after he says, "Oh, it could be a creature," they're like, "Yaguchi, this is no time for jokes." And then a giant tail comes out of the water, and they're like, "Oh, maybe Yaguchi's joke was actually serious," because they thought it was a joke. Yeah, they don't really. Yeah, the government in this movie does not take people seriously, and uh, then again, I mean, would you believe it? Yeah. But besides the point, then Yaguchi. Or then they're like, oh, maybe we should like exterminate it. No, we shouldn't exterminate it. We should like capture it. And so they're like, oh, we can't do that. And then time flies. The thing comes ashore. Persecution of the masses plays. The thing looks fucking stupid. The CGI is ass in that scene, honestly. But like Persecution of the Masses is the only thing that saves that scene because it's a great song. But besides the point, once again. Um, yeah. Then, oh my god. Then, the creature destroys the city, and it's kind of funny. It has this scene where, like, it references the name of the ship from, I believe so, the movie's name is Gorath, with that giant walrus creature, Maguma. And it references the ship because it's called the Alpha, and when Godzilla's like in the river, like there's a boat called the Alpha, so it was really cool. Um, yeah, there are actually a few references. Actually, I think that's one of the only references. Um, Let me pull up my notes here for a second. Okay, so I started taking notes. Yeah, There are references to Hiroshima and Nagasaki littered throughout the movie. And so basically time goes on, and the Retardosaurus Rex just stops out of nowhere. That's what I'm going to call his first form. The Retardosaurus Rex does a T-pose. And then it evolves, and it looks horrible. Like, it literally looks like an Adobe After Effects. It literally looks like an Adobe After Effects project. So anyways, this group of people, they show up, and by the way, they use Godzilla's 1954 roar for Godzilla's third form, which is, yeah, it's technically his third form, which is the Retardosaurus Rex, but with arms. And then these people get on a hill, and it's very similar to the 1954 movie with Godzilla's first attack, and apparently the hill that those people are standing on is like the same hill that the people in the first movie stood on for Godzilla's attack, which I guess is kind of neat, but I don't know if I was convinced or not. Anyways, and time goes on, some presidential envy named Kyoko, she's like the only character with any type of plot or with any type of character development, because she's like, oh, I want to be the president one day. And that's literally all that she wants to do. And she says, oh, there's a scientist that foresaw your appearance named Goromaki. Ooh! Real surprising. I mean, yeah. And they also reference Odo Island, saying that Godzilla's name originated there, and it means God incarnate, and it translates to Gojira in Japanese. So that was kind of cool. And they say that Godzilla fed on nuclear waste, which was left by some company. I don't know. I didn't pay attention, honestly, because I really didn't care. Once again, besides the point. And so it fed on it until it could, like, sustain the forms of radiation. And then they say, oh, you know, Godzilla can harbor new elements, and he's like a walking nuclear reactor, which is something that happens, I guess. And that his fins are cooling vents, and that he also harbors a new element. Holy shit. Or like new elements. And so basically after that, Godzilla, or they start theorizing on ways to take out Godzilla, and they're like, oh, well, maybe we can cool him down using some kind of like blood coagulant. And they show this like cooling, or this like pressure pump, which is from a crane, and that's going to come in later in the movie. If you've seen it, then you already know. And then as they like work on how to stop Godzilla, there's a scene where like everyone's like, oh shit, we're still working, but then Yaguchi is like, it's really formidable, or like Yaguchi and some other guy whose name I can't fucking remember, and I don't care to put it on here this time. Yeah. Let's see. Oh my god, he's like, oh, you know, it's really formidable what people are doing here. And I'm so proud of everyone. And Yaguchi is like, oh yeah. And then someone's like, oh yeah, one more question, Yaguchi. When was the last time you changed your shirt? It smells very rank. And so he takes a nap and wakes up, and there's a new shirt in front of him. And they're like, Godzilla's come back. And he's in his fourth form this time. And after 47 minutes, the movie gets good, and they play like the theme from Godzilla's appearance in Godzilla vs. Mothra, which was like a nice touch, I guess, but the CGI once again looks awful in that scene, and I hated it. But it did look really good at first, because it looked like there was actually a suit. But then at other scenes it looked awful. Why? So then, after they say that Godzilla's evolved into his fourth form, they play the entrance theme of Godzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla, which was like one of my favorite parts because I love Terror of Mechagodzilla. Hint. You didn't hear that. Well, anyways, then the military's like, oh, we should attack Godzilla. And they do, and they send like everything at him. They like send attack helicopters, tanks, and like jets at it, and it does nothing. Godzilla, and there's a scene where Godzilla kicks up a bridge, but you don't see it because it's clouded by smoke. And I think the reason why they did that is pretty simple. If you look at Shin Godzilla's design, he has very meaty thighs and meaty legs. You know, it doesn't look like he's supposed to kick him. In fact, I have the NECA figure right here, and it doesn't look like he should be kicking something. So I think that's why they did that. I'm not too certain, but I'm pretty sure that's the reason why. And the CGI, once again, it looks terrible. I really hate bashing on this movie because I like this movie. I really do. It's just that, like, or it's not to say that I don't hate the movie. It's just that I don't like it. I like it at the same time, but like I don't, if that makes sense. I'm very in the middle. But anyways, then Godzilla's attack on Tokyo begins, and it looks amazing because like Godzilla's got all these like glowing parts on like his spines and like his stomach and like his chest, and it looks awesome. So then America sends these stealth bombers to take out Godzilla, and it doesn't work. I mean, it works for a second because they go into his spines and blow up, and like Godzilla like crouches down, and blood like flows over him, and it looks terrible. But I mean, it's a cool scene, I guess. Then Godzilla like starts powering up his like nuclear his atomic breath, and he shoots this smoke out at first, and then he lights it on fire, and then like the fire turns into like this concentrated beam, and it just goes like it's like super far. It's like if a lightsaber were to just like extend forever. That's basically what would happen, and also blows things up. But you know, it's besides the point. I meant to say blows things up. And then also the Prime Minister's helicopter blows up, and we're like, oh my god, oh, the Prime Minister's dead. No one gave a shit. And then when Godzilla's struck by the Mob 2, okay, my bad. Then Godzilla using his atomic breath for the first time, it looks awesome. It really does. And then he blows up one of the B-2 bombers, and then he uses like these back brays out of his fins, which is like really cool. It looked like a Pink Floyd light show. Excuse me. And he blows up all the bombers, and then Godzilla goes into a statue form, and then you know, aftermath happens. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, Godzilla attacked!" And Yaguchi gets all like dramatic. And then this one guy whose name I can't remember, I'm not gonna put his name up. He's like, "Yaguchi, drink a water, cool yourself." And then later, like we see Godzilla's tail at night, and it like moves for a second, and it's hinting at something, which I'm pretty sure you can already tell. And then the new Prime Minister says something like really funny. He says, "Oh, the noodles got soggy. I knew this job would be difficult." And in the theater, it was pretty funny. But it's like, really, dude? You're the Prime Minister and you're complaining about noodles after like one of the worst disasters in history just happened. And then like the movie just drags on again. Really pissed me off, honestly, because like this movie, I want it to be good, but the only interesting things that happen are when Godzilla's on screen. So then the Americans also offer to help with Godzilla, and they're just portrayed as wanting to use nuclear weapons again, much like in Godzilla 1984. And then this sheet that Goromaki left, he was they were like, "Oh wait, we could solve this with origami," and they do, and I don't know how exactly, and I really don't care. Oh my god. So then, like, things happen. America says they're going to nuke Godzilla, or Japan can do this freezing thing that they've been working on with the pumps, and they do that, and they call it the Operation Yashiori, I think. Yeah, Yashiori. And they do it by sending train bombs at Godzilla to wake him up first. And then they send, like, drones, like, attack drones that are unmanned, to, like, shoot at Godzilla, and it depletes his energy, and then Godzilla shows his tail beam, which is really cool, honestly. And he uses it like a combo attack, with his mouth ray. And eventually the beam wears out, and so then they decide to destroy these two buildings, next to Godzilla to like knock him over, and then they send like these two missiles from sea to destroy these other buildings. And they go over Godzilla, and so then they start administering the coagulant to Godzilla, and it's really cool. And they're like 20% of the way through before the coagulant, before Godzilla like recharges his ray, and he like blows up everyone there, and then they knock Godzilla over again with all the train bombs they have left. Um, and by the way, the entire time they're playing like the Mazer March, if I believe so. That's what it's called. And then they knock Godzilla over, and they like administer all the coagulant. Godzilla gets up, and he roars, and he uses his 1984 roar, and he freezes. So then everyone's all happy. They're like, oh, oh, Godzilla's gone. Let's go. And yeah. Then, oh my God. Then what happened? Okay, so then like everyone's all happy, and they're like, oh, we had an hour until the U.S. nuked us. An hour. So anyways, then, after everyone's celebrating, we cut to Godzilla's tail again, and there are these humanoid-looking Godzilla creatures, which was obviously setting up for a sequel. But, I mean, the sequel is never going to happen, because, yeah. So, what are the pros? The movie was decent. It paid respect to the original movies, used the old themes. Persecution of the Masses is an amazing song, but executed horribly. My cons, literally no character development whatsoever. The characters are boring. Same thing, basically. Character deaths aren't sad at all. CGI looks like shit at times. And very confusing plot points that aren't explained until the end have little to no payoff other than to keep the plot moving forward. But would I recommend this movie? I mean, I guess if you're a hardcore fan and you just want to like watch like a new movie with old sound effects, then I guess that's cool. But other than that, I really don't see a reason to rewatch this movie. All I can really say is that the movie's decent. It was worth the watch in the theaters because my theater didn't know volume control. But other than that, like, it was pretty boring. Not gonna lie, the movie was pretty boring. I wish the sequel would have happened though, because that would have been pretty fun to see like kind of a horror-esque movie like Alien or something like that, but with like Godzilla creatures. That would have been awesome. But that's never gonna happen, sadly. I wish it would though. I really wish it would. But yeah, Shin Godzilla was like my first Japanese Godzilla movie I ever saw in theaters, and it's probably gonna be the only one. Am I sad about that? Absolutely not. It's the only movie that I've ever like seen on a school night, and I had to stay up till like 2 to see. Or no, I had to stay up till 9 to see it, and then I got home at like 11. So that was nice. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I changed my opinion. You guys can give this movie a watch if you want to. I mean, it's a fun movie. It really is. It's just that, like, it drags on at times. But other than that, solid movie. Yeah. I'm surprised I just changed my opinion, like, halfway through this. Holy shit. But yeah. Other than that, Shin Godzilla, nice movie. Check it out. Thank you for watching. Nexus out.